you for spending a Sunday with me. Before I start, who's from Kuala Lumpur? Wave your hands. Hello. And then those who are not from Kuala Lumpur are from? Oh, jauhnya. Awak tak mai lama sikit. Okay, so what I have today is it's not really related to what was described about me, but my friends and I have been looking into the history of lake gardens because we have produced research for DBKL, and hopefully the publication is coming out this year. So there's a minor mistakes here and there, and it's called Lake Gardens. And for that exercise, we actually started since 2018. But for that particular exercise, because it's for a publication, we have to source out really good photographs because no one wants to read, right? People want to just look at photo. So today I have like maybe 30 photos for us to review together. And Lake Gardens, it's a very special place for me. I used to run here all the time with my mom, although she'll be running far in front. But we all have our own route and loop. I think one loop around the lake is about 2 km plus minus. And then my husband here, when our first date, dia ada lah ikut I jalan-jalan Lake Gardens. That was the first and last time. He strolled with me, asking me, who's your best friend? Nope, no more. So it's nice to come back here with him. And today, so the session is called Bygone Kuala Lumpur, but basically Kuala Lumpur in the past. And I've done a few series with Bygone Kuala Lumpur, and today is Lake Gardens. So this is the first sharing session I have. Okay, I can't really see because there's a bit of glare from here. I hope can you see the map?
Can.
All right. So this is the 1889, the first formal map drawn of Kuala Lumpur. Some of what's on the map have not been constructed at that time. It's more like a master plan. So anything that did not exist during that time in 1889 when this map was published is drawn in dotted lines. Or is either not there or not formalized. Not formalized means it's not gazetted, so they can't charge your quick rent. Okay. So they were just planning out. So you can see here that the river is still very dominant, and then the railway station is somewhere here. Yeah, the railway station terminates at what is Museum Textile today, and then the future expansion of the railway up to Rawang has not been built. Here is Damansara Road. Okay, so Damansara Road, constructed between 1873 1879, was like the main highway because it would bring you from KL to Damansara village and then from there to Kuala. So you have to imagine it as the main access linking Kuala and KL at that time. After 1889, everything changed. Then we're talking about 1889, and then you still have the option to use the river, which will take you about a few days, 2-3 days. And then the train that was just completed in 1886 will bring you to Batu Kuda Tuan Sama there, 90 minutes ride. Macam commuter tu dia, no difference. So here, before we go to why this map is really important, because I would like to, well, this is what I learned, yeah. From this Damansara Road, if you imagine it as the main road, when they come in, when they come in from Damansara, okay, they have the option to turn right, cross this river, and then go straight to High Street into what is the Petani Street area, right? High Street, that's why it's called High Street lah. High Street ni panjang lah, sampai the end of the town on the other side. And then they can go up here to Bluff Road. So Bluff Road is actually a little bit behind Bukit Aman today. This whole area is now Bukit Aman. But Bluff Road, where the government offices were first built, is on this side. It hasn't expanded to say behind Lok Hall, Rumah Tangsi yet. So this government office, 1880, the British came here and set up their base. Was very strategic because from this point out, you can see the whole town, and then from here also you can see all the settlement of the British administrators. So to the right, basically KL, yeah, and then to the left is all the quarters, hospital, and then later Kaposa, Federal Hill. Also, you'll be able to see Federal Hill where the federal quarters were from here, and that's partly why the public gardens was built on this side. So they can come in from the main road. Ta-da! They masuk Lake Gardens. Now the loop is like this. So they can come in from Lake Gardens. Okay, there's a road, they go up, and then they pass by the residency, then they can come out again through the Padang, and then go down back to Damansara. So they actually had a alternative route. They can go to Damansara, lari to Damansara without going through the town center on the right bank of the river. Right? Okay, so you see there's no roads on this side. Even the club from the Padang. This is Jalan Parlimen, right about where Jalan Parlimen is today. So the club road has not been constructed yet because Lake Club also has not been established. Lake Club opened a year after that, 1890. Now, because I really want you to get your bearing right. Any questions about this map before we go to the next map? Because after this is just, okay, alright. So semua tahu, bagus. Okay, then this is a map from 1935. The area that's colored in green is the Lake Gardens, public gardens. So actually Lake Gardens has never been the formal name for this place. It was public gardens, and then Taman Kasih Perdana, Taman Botani Perdana. Tapi if you're real KL people, you call it Lake Gardens. Yeah, until today, but it was never its formal name. So the lake is about 13 acres. I think it has shrinked. But you see this green area. It also went into what is now on, but not really Taman Tugu, but what is a little bit into the Tugu Negara side. So this green area, it excludes this house because this house was already there. This house is where this house is where Tugu Negara is at the moment. And so when the Parliament Road was built, the northern portion of Lake Gardens was taken out from the 173 acres that was originally designated. Then we have this portion here. You can come in from Jalan Damansara to Lake Gardens, but only if you're walking. But last time you can come by car. Yes. The Damansara Highway has cut over this side, and the original route is now a pedestrian lane. I'll show you a photo. Other than that, not much changes. Note also these lines. These are the golf links. When Lake Gardens was established together with Lake Club, mesti lah main golf. So after that, the golf area, it didn't really kick off. They set up a different golf area in Patali Hills, called the Patali Hill Golf Links. But golf activities remained here until maybe 1950s. Small scale, like Rotary Club, small scale. Eventually, it was not encouraged because it got very popular with kids, Taman Permainan, so it was no longer suitable. So, but you can see that the golf activity was somewhere about here. In fact, there was a golf club in about where we are now. Okay, 1930s map. Ada soalan? Tak ada. Oh, bagus. Boleh laju macam ni. Alright, so this is the earliest layout map of Lake Gardens that we found. It's from 1898. So the 1989 map was just more like a master plan, right? You can just see the lake. But here you can see a bit of more information. So in 1898, by then, Kakosa was completed. Yeah, Kakosa was completed in 1898. And somehow that same year they banned motor vehicles from coming into the public gardens. Most likely it has to do with Franz Swettenham's house being there. You can see that there are two bungalows here. One is the Judicial Commissioner's residency, and then is the Commissioner of Police of FMS residency. And then Lake Club's about there. And Swettenham Road, they're just about to, it was just about completed. So it's called the new road. Now it's called Paseran Tunku Japa. It's the main access you use to go to Karkosa. But before that, Swettenham Road just terminated on top. And then by then, this roundabout, or this dial, called 7 dials, has already existed. Because the Club Road, now Parliament Road was constructed. So Club Road basically linked Selangor Club at the bottom and then Lake Club. Now note that the garden road is only on the right side, and then on the left is basically natural. So the main connection is, if you're familiar, it's on this side. If you're looking at the gardens now, it's on this side. And oh no, where's Kakosa? Kakosa is here? No, Kakosa is there, right? No, further in, okay. So basically the Kakosa side, there was no connectivity on along the foothills. The connectivity was always on the other side. And then more quarters were concentrated there, and then you could just, you can literally just walk to the Blufffield area. All right, so this is also one of the earliest photo we found on the Botanical Gardens. It's from 1888. It's from the the British Archives actually. Now, by Zuni, can you see? There's two guys there. Yeah. This photo is quite blurred, but there's two guys there, and then it's like it's kind of like at the bun, and we think this photo is taken from the Damansara roadside because there was this kind of open space, and then which you no longer see, and then the trees were just felled. The important people we have to give tribute to Alfred Reed Venning, because it was him who came up with this idea to create a public gardens. He was born in 1846, so it means by the time he mooted this proposal, 1888, he was about 42 years old. So I can relate, because at 40 years old, I just want like nice greenery. I need some outlet, right? And then Sydney Holmes, she was the wife to Franz Swettenham. Although I don't think she's ever lived in Kakosa, but when they opened the lake, she was present, and they named it after her. So it was called Sydney Lake for a very long time. And at this time, she was about 30 years old. I was just giving you some age comparison, and to reflect what we've achieved in life. But the lake is man-made, and then one engineer was in charge. His name was D.G. Gordon. His name would come up in a lot of the public works department's projects. But basically, this was a river area. It was a river, and then he dammed it, and then within 14 days, a lake was created. So we'll talk a bit about him later. So Vanny wanted a public garden, but the second director of this area wanted a botanical garden. Unfortunately, the recession happened, and no one really agreed with his vision, and that the vision to turn this place into a botanical garden never really happened until recently in 2010, 2012. Yes.
What's the difference between public gardens and botanical gardens?
Okay, so botanical gardens there's research and scientific research involved. So they'll bring species from maybe Singapore Penang Botanical Gardens and test it out. And at that time, that it was a very not popular. It was something to do because they wanted to study the potential of local species and like transporting other species to Asia or Malaysia, right? So there's research, and the second director characters, because he was a botanist and he also worked with the Department of Agriculture, not far from here. So that was his interest. But it's nice to know that after many decades, we've now fulfilled this vision. Okay, so back to that entrance. Remember I said from Damansara Road, you can just come in. So this is a photograph of the entrance. It was marked by these two lamp posts / pillar, and then it goes straight in. And that's a closer photograph. My friend, okay, I don't know I'm really bad with trees, but my friend says this is a kind of enau tree. Can someone confirm? Like there's rows of enau trees here, and then, if I'm not mistaken, this is the part that they call the Lake Avenue. Yeah, the Lake Avenue. But that has to be accepted. So this photograph is from 1895, and then the next photo also about the same time. So you can imagine coming from that Damansara Road, you pass by this lamppost, very Victorian-ish, and then you walk through the enau trees, romantic lah. And then we found this gate lodge proposal at the entrance gate. I'm not sure whether this was actually constructed, so the entrance gate, they wanted a house for the garden. And then this was the type of architecture that was common in the 1890s. I'm just sharing because it's really a cute house. And this is where the entrance is today. So you can actually take the MRT, stop at the MRT museum station. You have to walk a bit, and then you'll come to this section, the underground tunnel, which aligns to the original Jalan Kebun garden entrance. And then as you step in, this is the view that you see.
This is the current the Museum Negara, or is it?
This is the one from the Museum Negara side. Okay, so Kuala Lumpur, because we want to talk about the lake. This is Kuala Lumpur, the 1920s. This is a good map because it shows the water body, and you can see the Ampang Tin mines here is like as huge as the city center. The blue meaning all this.
Mana?
Not my fault. Screen. If you get hold of this map, there is like, the ones that are white appears as white is actually water bodies. So you can see the mines are actually as big as the city center if it's combined. Yeah? Okay, that means you can't see this then. Okay, so the lake is about here. And the name of this river that passed where this, it's actually part of a river. It's called Bras River. And then you can see that there are streams that leads into this lake. And then there's the bund, the embankment. And then it goes down, it crosses over Brickfield, which is now Kel Central. And then it comes out, exits at Sungai Klang. So one activity we've not done is identify where this exit is. And then a friend of mine who worked for the MRT project said when they were doing the MRT line, they got hold of the Ice Lamo's river plan, right? And Bras River still exists. Except now, it's of course not natural. It's like maybe a culvert. Culvert, just like our other rivers. So this is Lake Gardens, and then this is taken we think, and we can confirm later in a bit. It's taken looking towards the Carcosa side. Although Carcosa is far at the far end, this could be either the Judicial Commissioner House or the Police Commissioner House that you saw in the map just now. The Chinese, the local Chinese call this place Yuek Keng Wu, which means mirror lake, or the moon reflection lake. Yuek Keng Wu. So it's mentioned a few times, this name, Yuek Keng Wu. But you can see it's very, very pretty. And then there's that small bridge there over maybe a ravine, could be one of the streams marked in the map just now. And then there's this other photo. So this building here, is the same building with this one, and then Carcosa is about here. That's how it was on that side. So our exercise, actually, we took the photo, we went on this side, we were trying to identify the trees. Oh, this one, Tembusu tree, maybe on this side. Then we went here, oh, maybe it's on this side. And then we found this photo. Oh, okay, confirm. But that's the kind of exercise we have to go through. And then just to zoom out. So the landscape was quite clear, quite clean, yeah? Because that was, I think, the trend at that particular time, similar to Taiping gardens, Taiping Lake gardens, a lot of lawn and then trees. Now you can't get this direct view towards the lake because it has been vegetated, trees have grown, and then there's also a lot of development in between. And then we go to the next one, yeah, that's Carcosa. Okay, that's another photograph of the lake. Actually, when we found all these photographs, I felt really jealous because it was so beautiful. It's so unfair that well, it's not like it's not nice now, but it had a very different quality and more natural edges, natural terrains. Okay, so one very important event that happened in Lake Gardens that makes this place very historical to as part of the history of Kuala Lumpur and maybe the country, who knows, is this event called the Durbar in 1903. So the FMS was formed, right? There's Perak, Selangor, Pahang, Negeri Sembilan, and then every few years the kings meet. And the meeting is called Federal Conference or Durbar. Durbar, I think it's from what they call it in India. Majlis Raja Raja lah. The kings meet and then discuss and then decide on the next policy or action. So the second one took place in KL. And because KL at that time in 1903 did not have ada hotel, lobby, town hall pun belum siap. Town hall KL 1904 baru siap. So they decided to have the event, to host the event in the Lake Gardens, and then constructed a special conference hall, which is the one that you see in this photograph. By then, this Mughal image is already pushed forward because the Sultan Sulaiman building has completed, and then the Istana Mahkota in Klang, also the same style has completed. So it was kind of pushed as the palatial look for Selangor, Selangor. And this was held in July 1903 for 3 days. It first started with the conference, and then after that party. Ada visit to Batu Caves, ada polo match, ada football match. So you can liken it to maybe the ASEAN Summit in October. Yeah? And many small activities. It was not just one meeting and then go home. Because all the sultans had to come from wherever they were, had to come from Pahang, from Perak, ada naik train, ada naik steamer, and with all their entourage. So it was a very big thing in terms of logistics also. So this photograph, we've managed to buy a high res. Now, here's the lake, and I just want to point out some buildings. This is what in the plan said, plant house slash a conservatory. So it's 2-story, and then this is the hall itself. And then if we look at the zoom in ticket, because there will be photos of this later. Just look at the building and remember there's this there's this structure, and then this is the hall, and you can see there's a group of people here, either very impressed or they're complaining to this guy. Maybe it's like a bit right, a bit left, I don't know, or maybe it's like wow, so nice. I don't know lah. And then here there's this shelter, which I think is temporary because this was still under construction. So obviously it was not on the day itself, right? And we have a photograph of the interior. So quite stylish, but it is meant to be temporary because my friend was like, why did they demolish it again? I wish they didn't. But you can see it's quite 2D. This is just papan. Again, it's flat. There's not much depth. And this was like a H. The tables were arranged in a H form. And you have the punka. So I forgot to say, all these photographs are colored, yeah? It's not the original color. I color it, because actually when you color it, you can see the objects more clearly compared to when it's black and white. I used to color one by one, and then now there's AI who can do it in 5 seconds. But it does really help in research and identify. So when this photo is black and white, I looked at it many times. I didn't realize the punka. The punka is the macam fan lah. So there'll be someone at the end to tarik manually, okay, and then that will be your kipas. Yeah. And this is the backdrop, and you can see that hut, that shed, right? You know the shed in the earlier photo? Still at the back.
Sorry, where are the fans?
This one,
The black one.
the brown structure at the top. This side. So someone will pull it, there'll be strings, they'll pull it, and then this bottom part will sway like that. And I found some descriptions that they installed this at Babu Samad. So it was basically kipas lah, before electric kipas was introduced. So it was manually handled. Okay, so the other part that I found interesting was like this chair is still around. And then this Atika, right? Atika, so ornate, so pretty. And of course, this is a red carpet. The color is not quite correct. Description says on the day itself they had color banners or like cloths according to the color of the states, like the Perak flag, yellow, white, yellow, black, Pahang, Selangor, red and yellow. So it was actually very much decorated. Then the newspapers actually stated who sat where. So if anyone's actually interested, so there's actually very detailed description of what happened, what time this person arrived 11:05, what happened, 11:20, what happened. There's actually those descriptions, and also the speeches, extraction of the speeches by the Commissioner, Sultan Idris. What's important about this event is the Sultans basically raised the issues of employment among the Malays, and then education and employment among the Malays, and then that led to the formation of the Malay College in Kuala Kangsar. And of course also they wanted the FMS to be decentralized. The federal government had too much power, and they wanted, all the sultans wanted more control of their finances and administration. So these are some photographs of that event, reception and the conference hall. So people would have to buy tickets. About 300 public members were allowed to come, but they have to buy tickets, 300 ringgit. So they would be like around the area, and then in the evening, some of them got to meet the commissioner, meet the sultan. Macam itulah, very similar to today. At night there was like wayang parties, theater shows, floating bands, the Selangor Pancaragam would be on these rails and they'll play and then they will float around the lake. So it was quite scenic. And then these are the people involved, and this one is I think Sultan Pahang and resident of Pahang, Douglas Campbell. Okay, and then for that, they had to, you see the entourage, there's so many people, right? So they had to create temporary kampungs for all the entourage in Lake Gardens. So this is a photograph of the, I think Sultan Perak's entourage, Sultan Perak's kampung. Sultan Perak's temporary chalets. And the description says it was located between the foothill of Karkosa and Lake Club. So you know that area, I think where the car park is today, somewhere there was the location of these temporary housing. And then there's them. Yeah. So with the talent nampak kan? So the reports, the newspaper coverage, they keep saying that Yang Tuan Negeri Sembilan ni was like paling stylish. So he said his baju was black, and then the bunga-bunga was blue, and the songket was that gold. So basically, he was the best
dress award.
Yeah, so there was a lot of comments on his outfit, and I agree. So I think it's really cool. I think it should make a comeback. This pleated baju Melayu kan. And then that's such a group photo. So there's even descriptions of who took the photograph. So it was a Mr. Knock from Lambert and Co. So banyak detail, and it's fascinating to read because the description so vivid, right? You can actually imagine. And then this one was a tea house / pagoda, which was erected in the middle of the lake. Some newspaper cuttings mention Lok Yu. So I'm not sure whether he sponsored it or he was involved in this, the construction. So it said like at night it was littered and everyone would go there and then have tea and leave. So that's.
It's floating on the lake.
Yes, floating. I think it's a rough structure. Dulu boleh buat, sekarang tak boleh. Dulu semua boleh buat. I haven't had a contractor. We wanted to build like a pillar made of brick. They said cannot do. So how come last time can do? Because last time only calculation. But now you basically wanted to do RC lah. And they've lost that knowledge on how to calculate load-bearing brick structures. And now it's all like computerized, right? I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I think engineers use a lot of computer. Sudah lama tak jumpa engineer yang tulis kira-kira kan? Sudah lama tak jumpa.
They wear duck houses now.
Huh?
They wear the duck houses.
Duck house. Yeah, somewhere there. Yeah, somewhere there. Because if you look at this age, there's no road, right? So this one could be on the Kaposa side, and then that's the largest side of the lake. So this is just to show that even in 1903, the residents here really used the gardens. It was not just there's petang-petang recreation. There were events, and the Durbar was the biggest event. we tried to overlay, alamak, tak nampak kan? Okay, so we overlaid the current map with the old map, 1895, 1898, 1936, to just gauge where the Durbar Hall was. Anyway, tak nampak sangat, but here's the island. Today you can go later where the bamboo house is. So it's not there. It's actually, so the bamboo house, this island did not exist. It's a new addition, right? Because if you look at the old map, a lot of it is just water body in the center. So you have to go to the other side of the island to actually see this side. So this is about where the Durbar Hall was, and then there was this bridge, the Lovers Bridge, and then that's where the plant house was located. It's about the same where the current conservatory is. So that never changed, the location is the same. So that number 4, where is the number 4? Lebih kurang lah, this side. So if you walk towards, here is the boat, you go towards the boathouse. So it's now a bit on the inner side instead of like the lake edge. And because in the old photos it's on the lake edge. So we were going looking at all the edges, and it's like none of it matched. Then we realized, the lake has changed. Okay, so this one's exciting lah. Now the plant house conservatory, there are photographs of it, and then you can confirm it's in Kuala Lumpur because Kakosa's right back there. That's why it's important to restore buildings and preserve them so that you can find your bearing. So it's right about here, and then it's I think this is like thatch, right? Thatch roof. And then that's another photograph from the front. It's the same building here. Does my arrow come up? Oh, that. Yeah. No? Okay, so that's this one. You see all these trees, these plants. So it's the same. Okay. So there's also this a series of photographs of what they call the Lake Club Avenue, and we were trying to find where this avenue was, because we're like, if the Durbar Hall was there, how come there's no this I call palm trees was this row of palm trees, like it can't be gone totally. So we started looking at all the photographs of public gardens with this avenue, and it does go to Lake Club. And the Lake Club also has changed many times. If you're researching Lake Club, the building has no longer looks like that. So this one we got the Lake Club Avenue, and then the other one is the Avenue of the Lake. That's from the first photo. Then we found this photograph. It's not mine. I found it on the internet. You can see that avenue here. Nampak tak? The palm trees. Sampai hujung ini. So it matches that's the plant house. The Durbar Hall would have been about here. So the photograph palm trees and with the Durbar Hall at the back would have been taken from this side. Okay. This is the plant house, right? That's the avenue, and then the Durbar Hall would have been somewhere here. So the photograph tadi would have been taken from this point, looking towards the Durbar Hall. Setuju? Setuju lah. And just while we're at this photograph, this number 2 here, we think it's where Tugu Negara is now. So in the 1950s, it was used as Istana Negeri Sembilan. Remember in that map, there was this one loop that didn't cover that house. The house already there. So it would have been this house. And that's Lake Club, of course. This is the view, and then okay, the flood house, and then the bridge. You see the bridge?
Meaning they demolished it lah.
Demolish what?
Istana Negeri Sembilan.
Yes, to do the Gunagara. Of course, they got another land.
They
swap and do it. So that's the bridge, yeah? Okay. This is another view. This is from, I think, the Judicial Commissioner House side. You can see the roof of Srinagar. And then this is Pasiran Tunku Jaffar today, which is, one of the oldest roads in town, as you saw in the map, 1898, right? And it still renders the same. And then look, it's still there. So it's the same photo, it's just from a wider angle. And you can see the Lake Club Avenue there. This is the view from the Lake Club going down. And I think that's why it's called the Lake Club. You can actually see the lake from the club. Okay, which it doesn't make sense because if you look at the map, it's a bit far out. And what's nice about this period is the club was actually part of the public gardens landscape. Now it's like cordoned off. It's like
By the road.
detached by the road. It's just like, oh, there's a club at this edge. Okay, now we're going into the lake gardens. Yeah, now you can't see that connectivity anymore. Sad for them. And then this is Lake Club from the other side, from the Club Road side, which is Jalan Parliament today. So we tried to find where the avenue is. Macam itulah. You can't see it at all. But this side is the playground, and yeah, the Lake Club is somewhere here. Okay, so it's totally, that avenue is totally gone, and I think that's quite a big loss for the layer of, or the botanical layer of Lake Gardens, because it was such a prominent feature of the gardens. And then this is Lake Club today. The building is of course new, but the orientation is about the same. It faces the lake, yeah, and then the avenue would have been somewhere there. So I mentioned the garden, the Club Road access, the 7 dials. So this is from the 7 dial side. Garden Road, if I'm not mistaken, goes here, if not here, one of these. So from the 7 dials, from this roundabout, small roundabout, it goes to Tanglin Road, Garden Road, one road to the Speaker's House, Maxwell Road, ada 7 lah. I just can't remember it now, tapi I janji memang ada 7. The location, you know the traffic light, when you come in from Laman ASEAN side, there's that traffic light to come into here, right? So it's not there. It's a little bit off towards, I think the traffic light would be somewhere here today. You see, traffic light di depan sikit. So, but it's in that area, and unfortunately this building is gone. And then the 7 dials, from that point it goes to Maxwell Road sampai Sekolah Maxwell there. So last time you can actually walk from public gardens to that side. Now you can't, because there's so many new roads cutting across. So that was the environment. So if you were a European administrator, British administrator, or you work as with the police, or you were the caretaker of the house, you can live on this side. So it's very green, quite prestigious because of the greenery, not because of anything else. The one public garden and then many roads going to different quarters. I think that appreciation for greenery is already diminishing. Yeah. So the other one is this bridge. So this was called the Lovers Bridge. Description says the color was red and green. And I don't think the lovers hang out there. I think it's just a nice dating spot. It was last seen in 1957. After that, Banjir, and then, many times Banjir was repaired, but after 57, it was reconstructed at another area in concrete. So this is also now inside. So how do you know, it's one of the feature landmark. If you look at old photographs, how do you know it's not Seremban Lake Gardens or Taiping Lake Gardens? How do you know it's KL Lake Gardens? One of the features to look for is this bridge. See? And then people go there, take photos. This is maybe in the 1950s. Okay, so this is about where the location is today. So you can't see it because it's inner, and then they've already adjusted the edges. So it's not the same. But from there, so you can see Kakosa. Kakosa was very clear. Now it's hidden by all the beautiful big trees. So in the Lake Gardens, you can see Kakosa, and then later the King's House, which is Sri Negara today. And then later, the Perdana Menteri's house, Sri Taman, today Memorial Tun Abdul Razak. So you have this garden, your leaders, and then all your smaller quarters. So near the bridge, there's also this other landmark, which is like a thatched hut, and it also appears in many photographs. Another key point to look for if you're studying the Lake Gardens history. So these dudes, I don't know who they are, but they visited the garden in 1930s, and then you can see the gazebo. I call it the gazebo here. And then these two guys even went to the gazebo and took photos there. This is 1935, and then these two people also took photos. So I think it will be similar to how, that big yellow canopy in the center is, right? Like the landmark. So people will go there, sit, and then take photographs at this pavilion, if not a gazebo, pavilion. And it was quite unique. And then here's just like, we were trying to locate where it is, and then we identified the trees. We were like, oh, this tree is the same with this tree. And then later we tried to find that tree, but we couldn't. So my team is a very dedicated landscape architect, landscape designer, and her research is into the botanical gardens in the country. So because we thought at that point we can locate the photographs and tie it to the trees, existing trees in the garden. Unfortunately, everything's really changed, so it was not successful. And then this is another photograph of the lake. So back to the lake. In the 1970s, that road, Jalan Clark, people would, there would be vendors, hawkers, similar to how it is at Taman Titi Wangsa. Today, you still have jual-jual, tepi jalan, because people would jog and then they would want to eat. Today it's not allowed anymore. In the 1950s, when there are events, there will be these floats. So it was a thing. It was the thing back then to have these floats. This is the Merdeka. This is Hari Wilayah in the 1970 something, 71 if I'm not mistaken. See, they buat macam bangunan sama-sama, and then you have the Pancharagam performing there. Quite cool, and then you watch it from across the river. Lake, from across the lake. Here is the Merdeka celebration. There was also a float with local artists performing. And then there were boat races. 1967, the 10th year anniversary of our Merdeka. Big parties. But this is how, and you see people just hanging out, watching the race. This is another rumah rakit for an event. Canoe race. This one is this Tempat Rahman here. This was in 1958, if I'm not mistaken. And then this game, this activity, an older person told me it's like the contest is to see how long you can stay on this structure because it's licin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this guy jatuh, dia kalah lah. So the last guy standing is the winner, something like that. So that's the story of the lake. And then 1960s, Sri Taman was built. So originally it was meant as the Perdana Menteri's house, and then when it was about to be constructed, Tunku Rahman decided, you know what, I like the old residency more, it suits me better, this house is too modern. So they said, Tunku Rahman can be the deputy prime minister's house for the time being. So I think they budget he will be the prime minister anyway, right? So when Tun Razak became prime minister, this became the official prime minister's house. And you have to imagine the context. We had Karkosa, King's House. That's why the Sri Taman was there with all the government quarters. The residency where the prime ministers lived. Around there was all the prime minister's office facilities and stuff. So this was Putrajaya, right? But more undulated. So when this was built, very modern, a boathouse was also constructed properly down there. Of course, now it doesn't look like this anymore, renovated. But actually, since the 1950s, people were writing to the papers, why isn't there boating activities in Lake Garden? So eventually in the 1970s, this facility was laid out, and then Taman Tasik Perdana, the place was called Taman Tasik Perdana in 1975. Perdana linked to the Perdana Menteri's house, right? And then for a long time it was Perdana Lake Gardens for the locals, Lake Gardens. So there are also photographs of Tun Razak and his wife boating. I've managed to paddle. I did go for one of the boat paddling activities, maybe in college, in the uni, 2004, somewhere there. So at first I was like, oh, let's go. And then, the minute I was in the water, I had all these things moving, and I'm like, let's get out. Because it's like really nice to see from afar. But when you're like, what's that? Yeah. And then park activity, Hari Kebangsaan, Hari Kanak-Kanak was all celebrated here. And then they created all these facilities for the kids. And I think that's what we have today, right? The Taman Permainan, I think, is from this period. And this gazebo, 1970s, there are 2-3 quite modern 1970s gazebos in Lake Gardens today, which somehow has not been removed. So they're quite distinct of the period. There were parades, Hari Kanak-Kanak. That's Tun Hussein On and his wife, because after Tun Razak passed away, Tun Hussein On occupied Sri Taman for a while. Then there were a lot of parties. Not parties, entertainment, performances, movie nights, outdoor screening. So Paru anniversary celebrates the 10th anniversary of the country's independence. Malay Tobacco, I think Shell maybe, like 2-3 big companies sponsored this panggung. And then that's where a lot of the performance, either by the government bands or even Ella, Wings and all performed here. And it was an open theater. People just hung out like this. So they'll go to the museum. I remember in the 80s, my uncle would bring us to the museum. He jumpa girlfriend lah, he brought us. And then we'd go and watch something at Panggung Anniversary. At that time I watched Param. I don't know whether you remember Param, comedian. Okay. And these are some photographs of the Taman from the 1970s. Here you can see the light, the street light has changed. This is another photograph. You can notice also the same street light. So street lights are changed according to different periods of time. That's one more a way to identify the photograph when it was taken. And this is Jalan Kebun Bunga. Okay, this is a photograph of North when they were building the Jalan Parliament. And And we know this because it was labeled as such. So we've not identified where exactly, which part of Jalan Parliament, or which side is Tugu Negara. But this was a big project that Jalan Parliament tu macam one of the earliest highway lah. Of course our highways now are even more complex. But highway in the sense that it's very wide with maybe 4 carriageways. And since then, the entrance to, since the construction of the Damansara Highway near the museum, the entrance to Lake Gardens is associated with this side, right? Jalan Parliament. This house here is the ISIS building. It still exists, just that it's hidden by a lot of greenery. These 2 buildings are still there, the Oriental building and Sekolah Hishamuddin. And then Tugu Negara, this is a photograph of Tugu Negara when it was about to complete, where the Istana Negeri Sembilan was, right? So this road here is what cuts off, which is the border of Lake Gardens on that side today. And I end this session with this photograph.
Museum.
Yeah, Museum Negara, and then that's the road that led into the Lake Gardens. Right now you can't because there's a flyover highway here, but up to the 1980s, this was still the road into the gardens. By then you can see all the palm trees, yang apa avenue, Lake Avenue tu dah tak ada lah. And then you can see Kakosa, Sri Negara, and even Sri Taman here. Nampak kan my ni?
Yeah.
Because it's the last one. Sri Taman, Tugu Negara side, that's the cenotaph, right? Parliament, Kakosa, Sri Negara, and then all the quarters around here. The quarters no longer exist, and then that's our way. So those are the photographs I have. Oh, and it's 4 o'clock, not bad. There are things around here that we also take for granted, but it actually has history. So for example, the deer park. There's a deer park in the Lake Gardens. It started in 48. Edward Jen was, I think, the commissioner. He was really fond of deer, so Pelando, Kancil. So he even had one, he even below one in King's House in Srinagar. And then he donated 2 to the Lake Gardens. And then I think the deer park there that we have now, it started from that activity. At one point they even considered of creating the national zoo here because there was the deer park. Then there was an aviary, like a small aviary by the lake. Sangka burung lah, actually ada the map. If you look at the 1930s map, it's marked there, aviary. There were many types of birds, peacocks, and I think eventually that led to the creation of the bird park. Maybe not, but even before the bird park existed, people would come here to visit and look at the birds in the aviary. Other than that, I think the lake, now without any activities, it's quite boring. Just to look. I think that's one portion that I would value if it would make this place a little bit more lively. But with it being a botanical garden, there's a lot of limitations and restrictions, right? So this place became officially as a Taman Botani 2010, 2012 somewhere, and it's gazetted as a heritage site by Jabatan Warisan Negara already. Although the significance were not clear. But it's an old public park, created since 1888. However, the elements that, the historic elements or the historic layer has really been overridden with more modern interventions. But the lake itself, I think that will be the core to this place because it's still a river and it's still flows into the Klang River. No question, Ken?
No, I'm sure we have a lot of questions. Everyone's really paying attention. Anyone has any questions you want to ask Mariana?
So I heard from a landscape architect that the gardens was a gift from Swettenham to the wife. But she was so confident in saying it. So I'm just wondering whether there was any evidence of that or that inspired a rumor or something like that.
Well, the official papers, the minutes, Banning did propose he did a lot of paperwork to convince Frank Swettenham because he was the resident at that time, to allow this area to be, to be not gazetted, but to be declared as a public gardens. Sydney, before that, in 1880, she created already the Taiping Lake Gardens with that engineer friend of hers, William Scott or someone. So maybe that is the Taiping Lake Gardens, because that was her project with that William Gunn. But in KL, in 1888, I think dia dengan Swettenham tu not really ngam already.
Yeah. I think that was part of the story. Yeah, she wanted to go back to England.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Can I give you this gift so that you can stay?"
No. She didn't stay because I know a lot of people say Lady Swettenham stayed at Kakosa and all, but by the time Kakosa was built, she was already back in England. Yeah, but maybe that's more Taiping Lake Gardens, because that one she was definitely involved hands-on.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Frank Swettenham was working in Perak at that time. So Swettenham here pun, by 1901 he already made pangkat. And the Kakosa, yes, it was built as the Resident General's house. But by 1901 he was already in Singapore. He became Straits Settlements governor or something. So it's not like he stayed in this house for 5-10 years kind of thing. Tun Razak stayed at Lake Gardens longer than him. But I'm not sure. But we have to check Taiping Lake Garden story.
Any more questions?
How deep is the lake?
I'm not sure. I think they deepened. Yeah. But it was dammed within 14 days. I don't think it's that deep. At that time, like 14 days, I don't think it's that deep. But now I know that they've deepened it because of the silting and they've created the embankments. And I will ask, did we get how deep is it now?
What are the species in there?
We know that they put in carp in the 1930s, 20s, and then from there on they said no more fishing in the lake. And that's all I know. Okay, so the birds, the swans, when we had our Merdeka, a lot of the Australian government gifted 2 swans. There were a lot of gifts in the form of animals. I think one High Commissioner also gave mallard ducks to put here from London. So there were a lot of these. Congratulations! This is a present for you for your Merdeka. Okay. But I don't think the ducks there are from that period now. I think it's just renewed or reinstated a few times already.
Okay, we have another question.
Yeah, I just wondered, when did it become a botanical garden?
2009, 2010, somewhere there. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it's quite recent. And that's why they have the herbarium, the facilities to qualify it as a botanical garden. And they're still growing. They're still growing their collection. So, Tan Sri Fuad, the mayor, when was he the mayor? Tan Sri Fuad. It is Elias. 2010 somewhere there, because he was the one who was adamant in turning this place, turning it back into a botanical gardens. Because from Caritas Vision, which never happened, the park became like a social park, right? Have party happening. So tak boleh semua ni. I guess maintenance and all, there must be reasons, right? And then I think they revisited its original intention and then looked into how to make it into a botanical gardens. So the DBTL, Jabatan Landscape, worked on it for quite some time, maybe 10 or 15 years to achieve that.
Are these actively curating like more types of different species of native plants and or
Yeah.
even
So I was told they are, because they're working with FRIM
okay.
very closely. We visited the herbarium and had a chat with the officers. So they're still very actively doing it. But they're one of the youngest botanical gardens in the country.
Yeah. Are there any kind of like roadmap or plan to evolve it into something like Singapore Botanic Garden, whereas they have this orchid orchid area that they use it as a foreign policy advancements?
I'm not sure, but I think if you've been to Botanical Garden Singapore, we have a long way. That is probably the vision of all the botanical gardens managers in the world. But the orchid gardens, Taman Bunga Raya, Taman Orchid, Taman Burung and all, that came about in the 1980s. And at that point, it was quite an advanced already. It's just that we never catch up. The bird park is the largest in Southeast Asia. I know some bird enthusiasts who comes all the way just to visit that park. Yeah, orchid at Taman Rama. It's all laid out. We just need to be consistent. Yeah, just need to be consistent. Yeah, it's not part of the Lake Gardens, but definitely if they want to expand the botanical vision, they have to involve that side, because our park is not that big, and maybe, but it's kind of nice under the big L by Ringgit at the moment. Maybe they will, but those parks are the bird park is already privatized, right? Bunga Raya, Rama Orchid, I think is still under DBKL. Already?
We saw a signboard.
I see. Barulah.
No, not good.
Mountain.
Maybe 3 years. It's a 3 year.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mariana, you were saying that there was a river that runs through this lake.
There is
Sydney,
still.
right? It's called
Brass.
Rice.
BRAS.
BRS.
Yeah.
Okay. So where is the source of this river? I don't think.
Yes,
can
we
see
were
it.
trying to find, but if you look at that 1929 map, so a few streams come in. There's still a stream from the Srinagar side. It still flows, but tak tahu dari mana. My friend Rohaya said it's like from mata air. Yeah, but if you walk by, if you tengok betul-betul lah, if you look closely, there's like water running all the time from certain parts.
I see.
Did ice lama or did it have?
Jabatan Saliran. Ada tapi dia tak cover. I mean, someone has to look into it. There's some information that is shared online, but I think other than that, it's PNC because it goes underground. It goes under KL Central. And if you look at the route, it does go under KL Central. So that part definitely PNC lah.
But just an add-on question, right? You're saying it's sprung from a spring.
Yes,
Right?
that's
But the
a.
lake is so huge. How did it actually manage to like fill up the whole lake?
Yeah, so there's a, okay, look at this photo, yeah. There's a few streams, not just one. there's a few, you can see it from the right, from this side, from this side. Oh yeah, biru dia tak keluar.
Pointed lah.
Yeah, from here, from this bukit there, coming down here, from here. So there's a few points, and then which one's brass?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But from here, from the bottom part, the brass line is very obvious. From the top, memang itu kan yang ni lah kan. Because the bun is down there.
Mariana, I noticed something in the map just now. There was a European hospital bottom.
Yeah.
What is it today?
The Tanglin Hospital area. Where you makan Tanglin ikan bakar? That side. But the hospital is no longer there.
Anyone has any more questions? No? Okay. Can we give a round of applause for her?
Thank you. Okay. What year was the public gardens created? 1888. Yeah. And then the Durbar, what year did it happen?
The gift.
And then what year was this place named Taman Tasik Perdana? 75, yes, I will say 75.
What's it? We don't want to give this.
Thank you for paying attention.